Really go time, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? I thought I would pop in and open the windows and let some of these amazing energies just kind of stream in. And we're good at that in Germany. They call it lufting or something. You open all the windows in the middle of winter and keep the air flowing. Yeah, so we need this lifting because we have so many big, 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 big energies just from the physical plane of our planet, obviously connected to the cosmic pouring in, and that's not even taking into consideration the energy of the comet and the new moon, which is called the flower moon this week. Grace, hello, my beautiful. I've thought of you so much today. How are you? So many blessings from Mother. Did you have a beautiful, beautiful day? I hope you were treated. Yeah, a very beautiful day today. I don't know what it is. I mean, I just keep getting insights. Maybe I should deal with people a bit more, but no, it's fine. I'm just where I am. Healy, my love. Yes, happy birthday, Grace. May everybody feel, and this is indeed another day of immense grace. Hello, Healy, love. Whew. Are you rolling with the energies? This is called convergence. I think if nobody knew what convergence meant, today is definitely a day of convergence, an amalgamation, a pouring in together of like huge energies. And then, you kind of just blink. Try not to blink because I don't want to know too much. I just want to know and more than enough that I know. I just like let it come through. Yeah. And yeah, get away from social media as little as possible. It's eating our brain. Yeah, it's as I told us long ago, it's going to not be what it is, what we thought at all. And oh, you see, we were thinking of each other. You needed some. You needed to hear a little Christ energy, and this is it. Just that the mystery just gets bigger and bigger for today. I mean, it's just huge. It's just huge, and I think a lot of we go through feelings of being pushed into a blender. Oh, I'm so glad, Grace. How beautiful. The sun is talking. The sun is the energies of there's so many like beautiful images of the halo sun and orbs, and yeah, they're all over the place. Yeah, I think they were always there, but not as much as now. That's for sure. The veils are definitely, and today there's no doubt that the veils are very, 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 very open. And because we have just two major, absolutely major events of the energy. So there are a lot of very powerful prayers, never mind the numbers, but a lot of extremely powerful prayers going out today. So that makes a big difference. So obviously the one is Vesak or Vesak, which is the Buddhist celebration. It's the holiest day for the Buddhists of the birth, the enlightenment, and the samadhi of Buddha, Siddhartha, Gautama Siddhartha. Oh, absolutely, he need. Totally, we have been blessed with grace. Yeah, I think nature was very electric today. Because what I landed up doing for a huge part of the day was I did go for cake. I did have a nice cake with my boy. And then he took me down to the lake, and my tree, it was very busy, but my tree was waiting for me, my yuki tree. And she looked electric. She looked like a Tesla tower. It's my little sassy willow tree. She's not old, she's quite young, but she was really standing all on end. I do have some pictures. And I spent many hours, many hours under the tree today. So I don't know if I'm cooked because it was quite warm, and it was just totally off the planet, just with the sound of the water and the wind and the sun and the tree and the breeze, and it was every now and again I opened my eyes, but not much. But I was really tuning into, and it just kind of really got me today as well because it is May Day. Beltane, I don't Beltane, a long time since I've dipped into that. But in Germany, I mean, I was like, when I first got it was like, oh my goodness, this is like so pagan. But there's, I've done like all these deep dives into why, etc., etc. It's still so practicing pagan because, well, I think a lot of France does still. A lot of parts of Switzerland do as well because they had the cantons, and it's a lot of because they didn't get taken over by the Romans, so they kind of managed to keep a lot of those old pagan, the original, let's say, those original pagan festivals still going. So the one, and I don't know how other people celebrate it, but it's taken a few turns. Yes, Britannia. And it's the highlight. It's the strongest force of feminine energy. And that's what I said a couple of years ago, was that this whole Christ consciousness and Buddha consciousness and all of these are actually to rescue the divine feminine, to give her support. And it's still, I haven't quite figured it out enough. It's fine, when it comes, it will happen. But why it's so different. Laura, hello, beautiful. You're doing such beautiful stuff and beautiful pictures, and it just feels so wonderfully mellow, your side of the world, in between hailstorms. Yeah, I've got such a nice vibe with your Wellness Wednesdays, and whatever you do to your is nice. I see them advertised. Now, as you know, I've got a very different time frame here. Yes, she is. She's a young birthday girl. And she's been blessed because she must remember forever and ever that on the 1st of May, every single year, she gets two huge blessings. One of the May Queen, absolutely from the May Queen, and the other is that it's Saint Germain's Day today. So on the first of May, it's got nothing to do with the moon. So it's Saint Germain, and you can throw in a couple of ascended masters and that energy in Tibet, in Shangri-La, all of that beautiful stuff. Yeah, it's like really strong. Yeah, strong, beautiful energy. So if you've still got time to be outside today, is definitely put your crystals outside. And yeah, and it's all over. So I hope that you guys are seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of it. I'm just trying to just trust myself, which is a little weird because myself is like really weird. And just like clear out and make myself, lots of stuff. But simple stuff. It's so interesting that the more one gets it, it doesn't get convoluted. It gets incredibly simple. But the violet flame is definitely pushing hugely. If in doubt, That's I did spend a lot of time today doing various meditations, not all Saint Germain, just some on the pure. It's in pranic healing, that lavender flame, that ultraviolet flame, is actually the one that cuts everything. It cuts all negativity. It's almost like the 6 true words of Buddha, the Om Mani Padme Hum, where you don't need to think. Yeah? So you don't have to use specific colors, which is good to do, but you don't have to, because the ultraviolet flame will just cut through everything. It's highly purifying. So yeah, so every year, Grace, you get blessed by Saint Germain, and it was his coronation. This is that lighthouse thing and the Ascended Masters and the Theosophical Society. They bother me. Everything bothers me, because almost everything. Because I dig. I've got so much, a lot of like strong foundation in a lot of these things, which I never really used, but they were there. They were in my blood and in my aura and in my field as I was growing up. And then it just becomes always this frigging squabbling, this insane squabbling somewhere in between it all. And it's like, well, why? Um, so um, so that's pushed me more and more and more. It's definitely not perfect, but more and more into the texts of the Vedas and um, those pretty much the original texts, because there's no one writer. They had it as a verbal, passed down verbally for who knows how long. And what they did to keep it like as pure as possible, because they knew that the word was incredibly powerful and incredibly important, was their diction, and to say those mantras was particularly to get them right. So they would say them front ways and then they would say them back ways. So Rudolf Steiner used a lot of that, and it does work, yeah, in learning your time with anything. But he did it especially with maths and that kind of repetition learning that we have to sometimes do. And if you march to things where you clap your hands, so as soon as you add, yeah, so you would. He's definitely your very own personal patron saint of Saint Grace. I think it's beautiful. I'll get you another pretty picture. I should have given you the violet flame, but I had a little quick vision yesterday in the fire. I mean, I pop in the things that are really important. So it's important. So I thought I'd pop in today. We've got another pretty one. Oh, that one, I love that one. That was a little, and that's just this. And it's like if you're tuning in, so please tune in your own space to the violet flame. Find a nice meditation. There's so many nice ones out there. I still do love the Patricia Cota-Robles stuff. She's been working with it for decades. 36 years, I think she said. There we go. That's the sacred flame. But it's purifying us, it's purifying the energy around us, it's purifying the earth. And what's really happening is the connection to the collective. It's definitely on a whole nother level where we're feeling this incredible weaving with other people, like we're really feeling this joining. Yeah, so it's like we two or more are gathered. So I've been feeling, especially with the violet flame, and there was something huge happened on the 25th. Somebody mentioned, I was just like, oh my God, what's it? It's not like what's it? It was just like, I said, thank God, that's like what I do. If any wobbles, just get into the violet flame. I'm also doing like purifying my body energy. It's not a physical thing. I mean, it is, but it's more an energetic thing. because our bodies are changing. And a lot of people are going to be where they are right now and not move on, because the energies are, it's very different. It's very different to what we thought it was going to be. And I'm just like, so very grateful that I see the lies, the BS in everything, and the manipulation, and that's part of what it is. I don't know where I'm going right now, but that's part of what it is getting people trapped into bullshit. Because really it's written on the temples of your heart. And that gets to, so who was the other one? Oh, right, so the May Day. So I've just really been tuning in, and I know it's going to happen. So I'm sure it'll happen for some of you guys that are out there, which is really simple. So, oh, it's not so simple. Was just, it being the May Day, was just tuning into the tree and the sacred tree. Yeah, in Germany, we steal trees. I don't know if it goes across other cultures. It'd be interesting to know what other people do besides the maypole thing. But this really like symbolizes the Christ energy collecting and holding on to the feminine energy, because they would go into a forest and they would cut down a beech tree with an axe, cut down a beech tree and go and put it outside their love of the girl, the beautiful, wonderful girl that they wanted. They would put it outside. It was kind of like a marriage proposal. And they would put it outside her window. And if her parents agreed, then they would like agree to some kind of beer. There's always beer and bratwurst exchange in Germany. And she would become his sweetheart. It's taken a couple of little changes here over the years because they don't really do that anymore. But it would also be then that there would be two rival camps, and they would have to go and steal the tree in the middle of the night. And if the other one would look out and the other would go and steal. So I don't know what it is with the Western things. This sort of thing we've constantly got to steal. I don't see it anywhere in the Vedas and the Puranas yet. The Puranas, it's they do other things. There's no incest. There's no crazy fornication. There's no stealing of fire. There's no trickery. So it's definitely not perfect, but it's quite a nice way to figure it out. But also, just like a heads up here, is that I did approach it a little bit from a kind of spiritual way, but it was more from a I think my biggest thing was the temples, that they were building the temples and how did they do them, and everybody's like so fixated on Egypt, and we've got all these temples in India. It's like, how did they manage to do those, guys? And nobody's looking at them, and there's all the stories and all the wisdom on the walls and all the healing and the herbs and so much. And then I've been digging hugely, hugely, hugely into the trade routes. I've always been very interested in trade and commerce and not the spiritual things. So the spiritual stuff that I do really, it annoys me, because I always kind of said you can't teach a poor man about God. A poor man wants a job and he wants food, so you've got to teach him to fish. And that there is just more than enough for everybody. But this just seems to be the way where I've managed to go and be able to sew this all together. So yeah, so what they do now with the trees in the Amalan, they don't cut the trees anymore. They will also see a tree, but it's like this crazy like unwritten code. But they will actually dig up the tree. So we've got a lot of like farming country here. And then they dig up the tree, and then you're supposed to pay a ransom for the tree, and always beer and breakfast. And I know Alex has got a friend here who's got a one on their plot, on their small holding. He's got quite a few trees that he's stolen. People get very, very proud of their made trees. So, but I think we're going. Well, I'm sure that we're going to be seeing a lot more and interpreting the deeper meaning of the tree of life, not on a simple way, just like really simple. The trees of the leaves of the tree are there for your healing, which we're seeing a lot anyways. So much of it, and the natural herbs. Versus this whole long, complicated thing of the Kabbalah, which is great, but it's like blah, 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 blah. So yeah, so the other beautiful thing, of course, is reset, where we have, and that Buddhism is also, it's not what we think it is. Years ago, I'd been to a few Buddhist temples. I didn't join the Buddhists when I was in South Africa because it was, I don't know, it was run by white guys. I have this problem. And um, so Buddhism is it kind of changed a lot from what it was originally meant to be. So it was meant to just be the simple eightfold path. But Yogananda, if you dig around a little bit, you can find that eightfold path, which was actually more from Patanjali. I'll talk a little bit sometime about Patanjali. Patanjali, we did speak about him a bit before. He was actually a Naga. I love my Nagas. And he simplified so much. There was like over 1,400 kind of religions at the time, and ways to do things. And it was very, they were very strict on the ritual, and he kind of broke away from that. And he wrote, he's the author of the Yoga Puranas. So he condensed yoga and he made yoga into pretty much what we're doing now, but it's the movement, it's the breath, it's the worship, it's the adoration. He was very, very clear and very strict, for lack of a better word, about grammar and diction, so that things needed to be said clearly. Yeah, so we're talking again because we're working with magic words, seriously strong, powerful words. But he condensed all of those thousands and thousands of pages into 10 pages. So that was part of the Yoga Puranas. That's more what people think what Buddhism is. Buddhism took a lot of different turns, and I mean, if you need to read Siddhartha and go and figure out yourself there, because he went to go and have a look, and try and figure it out. And then once he'd had his incredible enlightenment, he opened monasteries. He started monasteries, but in the city. So a lot of people at the time were also very upset and a little disappointed with him because they were waiting for something, that you would go and be austere and go and hang out in the mountains in the cold and the ice, but he didn't. He went into the cities and he opened these monasteries, became incredible learning centers. And they were open to anybody. You just had to pass the entrance exam, which apparently was really, really strict. So he kind of took religion out of stuff, which was really kind of like the Hindu, the rituals. He also emphasized that people should question things and figure it out for themselves. Yeah, and obviously he was very. It was really just a two-way path. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. But he was very strict about that eightfold path, which just had nothing to do with any gods or deities. They were just pretty much self-realization. Yeah. and you were very strict and firm within yourself about following the middle way, no fanaticism, and learning, emphasis on learning and good morals. Yeah. But so he opened up these universities to everybody, but also very, very importantly, he opened them up to women, which was like way back then was not really heard of either. So yeah, it was around about 500 BC. Yeah? And then what happened? I mean, okay, then he moved on, passed on, and he said that there would be another big Buddha after him. But the Buddhists became the religion of the merchant. A little bit like they tried to kind of do that with Amsterdam, where there was at the time of the Dutch East India Company and all of those, that it was just trade and that there was no religion involved with it. But they did have piracy, which they did not have with Buddhism. And if I, when I was like just going through this again, and I was thinking, when they did Pirates of the Caribbean, I think it was the last one, or wherever the pirates the Pirates of the Caribbean, and they had to remove those pirates, the Chinese pirates, for it to be like released in China, because they really didn't have pirates. It was gentlemen, guys. The trade was sacred, not like the the Portuguese were not very nice. Not very nice at all. But yeah, so it became the religion of the traders because of the extremely high morals, and they were not going to cheat you. There was no lying and stealing and thieving and wrong weights. And the Indian merchant was highly respected all over the world. And I think this is what's been like really so interesting, is how far and wide from 500 BC that the Indus Valley were trading all over the place, all the way to Rome, to Greece. The coins have been found with Shiva on the back. Yeah, I mean that's why, and rice came from India. I mean that's why the the Greeks eat so much rice. Yeah. So there was also along the Silk Route, and they opened up all these incredible universities along the way, and places of great discussion and learning. And they were places of maths and science, and there were these, and still now anyway, there's like a lot of rubble of these incredible universities, and some of them were absolutely huge. And I know that the Indian government is trying to revive one of them. I'll get the name just now. It's actually not just them. Australia and quite a few countries are working together, because it's a bit like an ashram, but it's not really. They were just so incredibly self-sufficient. Tuition was free, yeah. But they incorporated the village, the whole village around them, which like grew and fed the people. And then people would come, other people like from China and from Nepal and from Greece, they would come, and from Egypt, they would come and invest, so that their children, it was a big thing for their children or for themselves to go to these Indian universities. Yeah, they were their maths was incredible. Way back then, they had the size of an atom. And one of them said, we didn't need extraterrestrials to build. With maths like this, you couldn't make a mistake. You know. But it was very simple. Everything there was a standard. Not just the fire, which we spoke about before. It was a standard. But if you bought bricks, all over, like India. They were all the same size. It all been crafted extremely perfectly, and I suppose they went around, and so you knew how to build. A bit like that Mr. H standardized a lot of things here. It's kind of wonderful when you buy something in Germany, you know it's going to fit. Yeah, it's really great. Oh, so what the Buddhists did as well, they became the banks. They became the merchant banks. So people would invest money or give money to them, and all along the Silk Road, all the way to Egypt and all over, they had their little monasteries, and they were actually the banks. And because also the Hindus couldn't, they weren't allowed to. Most of the money went into to the temples anyway. But there was rules that they couldn't charge interest, whereas the Buddhists didn't have that. So they could charge people interest, like from 25% to 50% interest. They would loan money. So, but there was this incredible honesty. You knew that you could trust them. And then they would also have they would be storehouses, so you didn't have to schlep all your stuff all the way back to India. So you could store them in their storehouses, and you could use them as really safe places, as inns, as places to stay along the route. But obviously, you had to be a Buddhist, so it wasn't open to anybody. You had to be a Buddhist because then they knew that you would uphold those principles. So that was hugely how Buddhism spread so much across the world. So it spread hugely. That's why so many Buddhists in China and so many in India. Not in India, well, yes, in India, and in Japan. And for a while, it was very difficult to find any information on it. Like 3 years ago, it was like, why was Ganesha is everywhere, even in Japan. So he's all over, and they found him. So the mystery is deep, but as I say, I try to just dig around on the real stuff, whatever's real. Nothing's real. Absolutely nothing's real. So, but it's just the pathway that I enjoy getting my things, and then of course became the healing. So then, with the rise of Islam, a bit of persecution obviously sadly came in. And Buddhism only went to Tibet, started to go to Tibet. I was talking about this because it's the great Buddha day today. It's like the day of the Buddha. And they went to Tibet around about the 7th, 8th century CE. So it's not that long ago. And that was they were invited to go over there too, because the king of Tibet married two Buddhist princesses, one from China and one from Nepal. And then a little while later, 700, 800, there was what do they call him? Buddha Rinpoche. Man, I will forget his name. I can just swallow. Blah, blah, blah. He's actually the teacher of my teacher. I think it's further down. Yeah, just have a blank name. It's so weird how you can see it. But he was then brought by the king to actually bring Buddhism over to the official Padmansambhava. Padmansambhava. Buddhism, as I said, it's hectic stuff. I know, like a while back, I said, "Oh God, you don't want to mess with Buddhism because they, if you look at their artwork, art's always been a big thing for me. But these are the guys on a tame day, okay? So when he went to, I mean, it was absolutely wild country. Tibet is insanely wild. If you have a look at some of the pictures, you Google some of the monasteries, they are like inaccessible. There's like thousands of steps up into the middle of the mountain, or you have to go into these caves. I mean, we've spoken about this before, but they like this tiny, tiny, tiny little narrow ledge. So when he got to Tibet, because it's like wild, it's absolutely wild, you know. We've got Mount Kailash there, and we've got reportedly the holy place, and Mount Kailash. They even don't know if it's a real, could be like the moon, because there are texts that talk about the time before Mount Kailash. But this was, you had all these like intense nature spirits, which were part of the Bon religion, which was a very, 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 very superstitious, very shamanic, deeply magical religion of the local people. And they were sending these spirits out, you know, don't mess with these guys. They have been doing magic for so long, working with these energies. Um, yeah, I don't do magic, so yeah, leave it to the people that really know how to do this stuff. So what he did, Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava, he was such an advanced enlightened master, and he had so much knowledge. Let's take these guys away. You don't have to go very far. As soon as you do Google Buddhist stuff, you will find these things. And it was, I mean, it's like was part of my teaching from long back, but I kind of leave the demons alone, you know. I know they're there, I see them, but we just, everything needs love. Whoops. There are many different Buddhas. So there were a few things that he realized that the people there, well, first he had to tame these things from the Bon religion, these like demons and protectors. So he didn't remove them. He didn't, you know, like St. Patrick chased them all away. Or, you know, they're like, go, be gone with you. He didn't. He actually befriended them, and he became their master. So they became the guardians and the protectors. And these are like the gunners, you know, the gunners of Shiva. So similar kind of story. So they were there to protect particularly the knowledge. But they didn't have a good enough language to actually understand. So he re-educated the whole country. He created a whole language for them based on Hindu, based on Sanskrit, so that they could read the old Sanskrit texts. Because never forget, you know, we tend to forget. We think that Buddha was a Buddhist. Buddha was a Hindu. Buddha was a son of a Brahmin. Got him a Buddha, Siddhartha. So he re-educated them. He gave them a language, and not re-educated. He educated the whole country. And I know I saw like a couple of years ago that if you look at any pictures of Tibet, like everybody's a monk there. It's not just like a few monks hiding in the mountains. Everybody's a monk, what's left of it. It's not a very pretty story. And I just think because it's but anyway, what he did, because he had so much high knowledge, and he knew that he couldn't leave this knowledge with nobody would like really get it. There were a few reasons that he didn't. And also he said that if he gave too much knowledge, it would become stale and it wouldn't be exciting. So people wouldn't find the knowledge. It would become stale. So he with his very high shamanic and meditation practices, like seriously high level, intense magic, or whatever you want to call it. He hid some of the texts, as in literally in physical form, which they did find not that long ago. There was a whole lot under a pile of stones in Tibet. And he also hid a lot out in the ethers, almost like a time capsule, which is why a lot of this knowledge is also just pouring and pumping down onto the planet. And some people are open to it and some people are not, and that's okay. But it went through so much persecution, poor old Tibet. First it was then in, well, the Silk Road kind of crashed around about 1200. So they didn't, some people went back to India, but a lot went to Tibet. So that was really this huge influx into Tibet. So that it's in Tibet is relatively like new. It hasn't been there for all its time, yeah. And it became wilder and wilder. And I think that's just my own thoughts, is that it was something that was supposed to be a lot easier than Hinduism, but it actually became stricter and far more disciplined and far more shamanic, especially in Tibet. There are so many different schools of Buddhism just in Tibet. So they were hugely, hugely persecuted, which is why they lived in these extreme remote areas. And then this whole China thing was like really terrible. First in 1936, which that was like so many people were off to Tibet again after the like surge from the end of the 1800s. Then there was this other big surge again into Tibet, just around about the wartime era, both from Russia and from Germany. I'm sure lots of other places, to actually get the secrets. And, they came back with the swastika and all sorts of things. Another very interesting thing with the Tibetan Buddhism is that what they do is, I'm really waffling. Let's not even go there. So, yeah, it was almost annihilated in the 50s by the Chinese. And the Dalai Lama, which has got a bad rap right now, but he for a long time, since the end of the mid 50s, 1950s, he does not live. He lives in India. He fled from Tibet, but that was like way back then. It's like they almost all the Buddhists have pretty much a university degree. They're not stupid. And then, of course, the other thing that they do are a lot of healing. This is the Blue Buddha. He will heal. So if you need any healing done, or you really come to the end of your tether between the Blue Buddha and the violet flame, you definitely can't go wrong. But the Blue Buddha is of healing. And they did, I mean, I know that there were like intense people that had serious addictions that would go to Tibet, to the monasteries to be healed. And it was very quick. They would just give them stuff to drink and they would purge, and they didn't go through the heavy withdrawals. And we're talking about serious stuff. But there was a condition that you couldn't repeat it. If you fell back, you couldn't come back again. You had to just do it. So, and I've been fascinated with this for a long time. Yeah. So that's the energy of that's. It's not the 1st of May. It's the first full moon in Taurus. It is called Vesak, and it is, as I said, celebrating basically the rainbow body, and meditating with that energy. It's the washing of the Buddha. So maybe just go and clean your altar, and um, clear your whatever you have on your altar. Yeah. But the energy of the Buddha, yeah, definitely not to be taken lightly. Yeah, so I think we're going to need it more and more, that intense, just those little bits of what he stood for. So that's huge energies that have been pouring onto our magnificent planet for today. And then, yeah, lots of stuff. What else? The Hindus are celebrating Black Buddha Purnima because it's a thing, because it is actually one of the incarnations of Vishnu. And the other thing, I don't know what it's called. I would get it wrong. I know what it is. It's a whole reset, and they like to give books and start writing in journals. So it is a whole cleansing, and they call it Chitra Purnima, which is, it's the reset of karma. So it's the divine. It's that whole thing of like every hair on our head. So he's the keeper of books, the record keeper, the divine. Is Chitragupta, who is the sacred divine record keeper. And just the nice thing is to think where you've been this year, what things have changed, what maybe you want to change, and they like to give books and pens, or at least start journaling a little bit and just give thanks and see where you want to move into the next energy of our lives. So that's a little bit what's been happening just today. Oh yes, and then if anybody was at the amazing fire last night, which always is just so sacred with Jared, I was meditating, and then I opened my eyes, and she wasn't huge, she was just like the size of the fire, was this beautiful clearest. She didn't have the baby, but the Mother Mary. And apparently today is the beginning of a month of the Holy Mother. So anybody wants to pick that up, that's the sacred chamber. And these all happen within Tibet, or within. If you've read any of the I Am books or any of his other books, I can't remember what his name is right now. Yeah, so pretty much that was in the fire. Just opening my eyes. So it's just to take it as it comes, and yeah, wow, beautiful, interesting times. So yeah, I suppose the mother will appear to each of us as what she's meant to appear, to how we can cope. So beautiful folk, I am going to love and leave us with all this amazing energy swirling around us. I thank you so much for here. I hope that you have embraced a little bit of this amazing energy that's happening at the moment. And if in doubt, just please, just do the violet meditation. It doesn't have to be the sanctuary name, but just do the violet meditation. So that's my biggest gratitude right now, is that I have that tool, which can be extremely grounding and open all sorts of things, and it's just connecting right now. So we love and leave you, love and leave you, and it feels like Sunday, but have the most amazing and wonderful weekend. Do play with the trees, and just be open to whatever the universe is pouring down at the moment. Lots. Yeah. And yet again, have a very beautiful birthday, Grace. I send you extra love. So love you all, and thank you so much for being here. And yeah, we're getting through this. It's just so amazing. Just take it easy. A lot of people just taking it easy. Just rest, Yeah. Yes, she really appealed. So it's a month of her, Grace. I'm so glad you saw that. I was hoping Lily would be here, but if who's meant to be here is meant to be here. So, yeah, that's why I gave it Mother Mary, because that's what I saw in the fire. She was so clear. It wasn't long, but it was like so beautiful, like this. In the so just when I think I've got Saint Germain in the violet flame kind of tape, whoops, arrives somebody else. So I will definitely be embracing a lot of the motherness of Mary for myself, just the way I do it. So into the lapse, into her, she is the Queen of Heaven. She is very sacred. So love you, love you, love you, and enjoy the mother. And have a beautiful day tomorrow, Grace. I'm interested to hear how things turn out tomorrow with the celebrations of your dear friend. So love, love, love everybody, and take beautiful care. Bye.